So mathematician and broadcaster Bobby Seagull is here to tell us what's caught his eye. We'll speak to Bobby in a moment. Lovely to see you. But first, let's have a quick look at the front pages this morning, and we'll start with the Sunday Mirror, leading with that story we've talked about. Prince Philip has handed in his driving licence. They add that the woman who was involved in the crash with the Duke of Edinburgh last month said she now feels safer.
The Observer reports that MPs are calling for the sacking of Transport Secretary Chris Grayling over the collapsed Brexit ferry deal.
Mail on Sunday features an exposé on Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, and it's a journalist who's done some investigation, and they label him totally unfit for office.
And the Express shows a picture of the Commons Speaker John Bercow and leading Tory Remainer Kenneth Clarke claiming a Brexit curry house plot.
Papers love to see where the politicians have been meeting, don't they? Andrew Marr is coming up at 10 o'clock on BBC One. We'll talk to him in a moment. First, though, let's talk to Bobby. And where are you going to start? This is from The Observer, isn't it?
Yes.
Staff crisis looming as austerity hits teachers' pay.
Exactly. So I think the first thing we have to ask is, as a teacher, why do people enter the profession? They enter because they love learning and they want to pass on that knowledge to the next generation. But at the same time, there needs to be equity and fairness in what they're paid. And I think the issue has been there's been a real term cuts in the last 7-8 years. And again, just for viewers, so people might say nominally the pay has gone up. So every year the pay is, in theory, going up. But because of inflation, that's been cut. And I think it's been cut by real terms £4,000 annually in total since 2010. So again, this is impacting recruitment and retention in the teaching sector.
And it's this is so many of you teachers do this as a vocational job as well, don't you? And it's got to be tough.
Absolutely. And again, if you're thinking about people that are almost saying, I want to educate and inspire the next generation of people, as a nation, we should think, what's the attitude towards teachers and education? Are we going to treat them fairly, or are we going to think, actually, we're going to sort of be dismissive? And it feels like with the pay of the last 7 years, and I understand the UK is under austerity and it's tough times, but we still need to make sure we respect the profession.
Now, I bet there's one item of clothing that is in most people's wardrobes. It's the fleece.
The fleece.
Lots of people have a fleece. Nice and cosy, warm, relatively good value to buy. But the National Trust is trying to change the type of fleece that it hands out to its workers because it's not environmentally friendly at all.
Absolutely. So we all love fleeces, but the issue with sort of modern fleeces is that they contain microfibers. And when you wash them or wear and tear, these microfibers end up in the environment and eventually in water streams. And what happens is then it's ingested by aquatic creatures and birds, and this can lead to starvation and death. So ultimately, the microfibers lead to environmental damage. So the National Trust are thinking, can we come up with new ways of creating jumpers, outwear that actually doesn't contain microfibers in the same way they do right now?
So who are they trying to get? What they're trying to get? What manufacturers to change it, are they? Yeah,
so there's research going on to different types of jumpers. One is there's a protein-based jumper which wouldn't be as damaging.
Right.
So again, it's one of those things where it takes time to change, but it's good that people at the National Trust are recognising that fleeces with microfibers do cause issues. They're even recommending that people try and not wash them as much.
Ooh.
Yeah, obviously, the balancing between the smell and the environmental.
I mean, the only thing I would say about fleeces is they do last a very long time.
They do.
But maybe that's one of the reasons why. The joint statement, the group saying the global outdoor industry working collaboratively on the microfibre shedding challenge to gather the data needed to make more informed decisions about the fabrics and fibres used to make products. It's really interesting, that, actually. So, yeah, fundamental change could happen.
The next story you have, I think, is in the Sunday Telegraph in the business section about retail. Now, I don't have a copy of this, so you better explain it to us.
Yeah, so
people shopping online more, basically.
Yeah, so what they said is in 2018 we had a record level of store closures, like 18,000. But again, the key thing is net figures, because shops have opened. So I think there's about 13,500 open, 18,000 closures, so about 4,500 net down. And what's the reason for this? Some reason they're citing as increased rents, obviously puts pressure on retailers. But the reality is, like, where did you do your Christmas shopping? High streets, or did you go?
I did half and half.
Half and half. But has it changed over time the last few years?
Of course,
definitely.
Yeah.
So I think retailers are sort of at the brunt of our shift in our spending culture.
It's very interesting. Let's look at this wild garden, which is in lots of the papers this morning. And this is the Duchess of Cambridge. She's helping to create a garden for the Chelsea Flower Show. And it does look, I mean, if you can see it here, like it's a garden which is really designed for play, isn't it?
It really is. And again, in a generation where younger people are spending more time on their phones and indoors, this is just another idea for, let's make sure we get people outside and they enjoy the sort of mental health benefits of actually being connected to nature.
This is rather honest. So we've got a tree house here. I love this. A nice swing seat, a den, a bridge, stepping stones, and a little place to have a fire as well. It does look like, you know, it would be a fun place to spend time, doesn't it?
Yeah, can we petition for an adult version of this?
Can we just not use it as adults?
Keep the kids, give them a maths lesson. I'll do the maths lesson, you can take the garden.
Perfect, I like the fire.
Now, a piece you have from the Sunday Mirror is about diesel cars. They're saying toxic diesels and a drop in value. If you've recently bought a diesel car, this perhaps might not be the best news.
Yeah, in the last couple of years, up to 20% fall in the value of diesel cars. And this is perhaps, again, a long-term secular trend. People are looking towards hybrids, electric cars. So it's interesting this morning, a lot of environmental stories. But again, we saw this morning with the children potential strike and the microfibers and the jumpers. So it feels like people are being much more aware of our impact on our outside surroundings.
It's lovely to see you. Thank you very much for coming in.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.